Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We continue to move along with some of the post-draft coverage. Now we're looking at some of the top free agents the Cowboys could still pick up. They have cap space. They have needs at spots like, wide receiver 2. Dallas would need to create roster spots. For their undrafted free agents. We got to get news on that at some point. Or just to add more veteran players to help fill some stopgap spots. Now, we are in a sub-battle, the final day, really, of the sub-battle. We are 60 behind the Raiders report. Help us catch up. Get more free Cowboys YouTube videos each and every single day when you guys subscribe. Let's dive into some of those free agent targets. First up is the big one, Amari Cooper. Nick Harris reporting there is some building team interest in a potential Amari Cooper reunion with the Dallas Cowboys. I still think you'd have to figure out how the Amari side looks on that front. But as we'll get into, really we'll do some trade conversation later this week too. Not like there's a lot of great viable options here. Amari did not have a good year in 2024. It was a down year. He was a bit banged up, especially once he got to Buffalo, so he never kind of got on the same page with the Bills. The Browns had some bad quarterback stuff going on. He is now also being linked with a possible reunion to the Las Vegas Raiders, which I would find quite interesting as well. They also drafted Jack Besh, so we'll see how that plays out. The best years of Amari's career, unquestionably, were in Dallas. He was at his best. Played a better QB in Buffalo, but he was also super banged up that year. The Cowboys need a wide receiver too. Or at least they have made that very clear. They want a better option. And at this point in April, almost May, the options are not great. And if you could convince some more, I think you have to do some selling there. I don't think this is a simple we want him, therefore he wants to come back. I actually don't think it's how it plays out. It is also getting late in the process, and the destinations and fits for either side begin to shrink. So would you bring back Amari Cooper? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's video. This is the pinned comment. So if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Y for yes, N for no. The other top veteran wide receiver is Keenan Allen, who, again, is very much, I think, showing signs of decline, but was better last year than what Jalen Tolbert was, than what Amari Cooper was. I don't think you're going to be able to realistically, especially in free agency, definitely not, acquire the 2022, 2023 version where he puts up 100 catches and over 1,000 yards. He's also probably just not going to get that level of target share. But if looking for a more stable veteran, proven option, Keenan Allen certainly stands out. I'll mention Nelson Agholor just because he had been mentioned in the ESPN Todd Archer report about the wide receiver 2 search. Does he actually fix anything for you? There are a lot of bodies that are available in free agency. I question how many of them actually fit things for you. Agholor had 391 yards last year. Okay, DJ Chark fits that kind of vertical archetype. Tyler Boyd hasn't been a wide receiver 2 in years and wasn't very good in Tennessee. Elijah Moore, I think you could maybe make the sales pitch. Now there's a complication here. The Browns use the not often used UFA tender on Moore. I'll break that down more in depth in a second. But in general, this means he counts against the compensatory pick formula. Cowboys in line for 2, and they are kind of flirting with a third / losing another one, so they don't want to add any more to that equation. It's worth $3.43 million. Elijah's not going to pass on getting less than that, which means he's going to count against the comp pick formula if he signs. Probably is off the board right now. Here's what the UFA tender is, by the way. It's with 110% of your previous year's salary. It does count against comp pick formulas as long as that player remains a free agent, which is up to July 22nd. But then after July 22nd, the original team has exclusive rights. So I think for the Cowboys, we could probably cross Elijah Moore off the list. More names to come, but we've got the Cowboys NFL draft gear available for you. Chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. Link is in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. Hats, hoodies, and, of course, the Tyler Booker rookie jerseys. As more rookie jerseys get set up, it'll also be available at that link. You could also do the old custom one for Savone Revel or Jaden Blue or whoever. Chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. Let's get to some running backs. And J.K. Dobbins, much like Elijah Moore, by the way, also was hit with the UFA tender. The difference here is that it's not worth a lot for Dobbins because he signed for next to nothing. This is pretty darn cheap as it relates for Dobbins. So there is a scenario in which maybe Dobbins remains affordable and the Cowboys say, we want one more piece since we only spent a 5th-round pick on the guy. Dobbins missed some time again last year. Injuries are always going to be a concern. I was kind of surprised the Chargers put the tender on him. Like, the Browns are in bad shape at receiver, so I get it. Dobbins, they drafted Amari Hampton. They signed Najee Harris, so I wouldn't be shocked if Dobbins does end up going somewhere else. I know many of you have asked about Nick Chubb and have seen plenty of buzz on it, and I get it. It's a big-time name. He could be your early down back. I do think we have to be a little bit concerned about Nick Chubb. That man is a genetic freak. He has come back from injuries before, but he was bad last year. And I get that the situation in Cleveland was poor too. Other backs were better. That's always a big-time red flag for me when, like, you struggle, but your backup or your secondary back is better than you. That's it. That's eliminating a variable. Like, okay, this is more you than anything else. He's a freak. I love him. He's had a hell of a career. I do worry that 3.3 yards per carry on 100 carries is a really bad ratio. I do worry that the injuries have become too much for Nick Chubb. It also might end up being a bear. Gus Edwards, who J.K. Dobbins outplayed him last year. The Gus bus, now I think about it more and more, I mean, Phil Moff was a decent player comp here, right? Like, similar size, similar builds. Touchdown machine. I feel like this only becomes an option if the Cowboys, maybe lose a player to injury. I think you've got a bunch of guys to compete in this room anyway. Other free agent targets, Cam Akers, Jamal Washed Williams, let's call it what it is. Jeff Wilson is local, went to North Texas, but I don't know if he brings enough juice at this stage. So would you sign another running back? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Other options at corner, which I don't think you can totally rule out given all the injuries there. Stephon Gilmore, who had the, totally not football-related visit. I just refuse to believe that was anything other than just the Cowboys doing it, but not wanting to get in trouble if they sign him after the draft type of deal. Gilmore is also, he's a stopgap option. That's what a lot of these players are. Like, nobody that's available really in April is being viewed as a 3-year solution. It's like, can he help us survive the season type of option? Gilmore has declined. He's not the best corner, defensive player of the year caliber guy he was at his peak with Bill Belichick in New England. But I think he's better than Kaiir Elam. Now, I think Gilmore might end up being like a June signing. He might be, or even a July pre-training camp signing. Diggs is not going to be good to go for week 1. Revel should be good to go, but they'll have to let that continue to play out. If Elam and Carson and like a Booth all really struggle in camp, then the Cowboys could revisit this one for an outside-only corner in Stephon Gilmore. I would have interest in still exploring the available nickel options. Israel Mukuamu right now is the main piece at that spot. Deron Bland can shift inside. Does he want to? I don't know. Especially with the contract year coming up. Asante Samuel has been an outside player for the LA Chargers over the course of his career. Is coming off an injury. I think that is a factor in why he is still unsigned at this time. I know there's been some buzz that the Vikings are just going to pick him up, but I've also heard that they're not going to. So I think he is still available. I think the shoulder is a factor there. His play style, his body type does fit on the inside at nickel. Mike Hilton is also a prime nickel corner candidate. He is a damn good run stopper. I mean, you don't get tackles for loss by accident with putting up double digits in back-to-back years. The problem is he's kind of struggled as a coverage player. And there were times last year the Bengals took Mike Hilton off the field on 3rd downs, which is unheard of for a nickel corner. He's an early down nickel. That does not exist. But that's kind of what Mike Hilton had become for Cincinnati. Still, the options are pretty thin on that front. The other free agent corners who are available at this time, again, the group is actually kind of decent. Rasul Douglas is an outside player. Kendall Fuller can play inside out. James Bradbury might not be a schematic fit, but is worth mentioning. Curious how Matt Eberflus views him, what he wants to do this upcoming season. Arthur Maleta's been a nickel in the past. Jack Jones is inside-outside ability, but is also kind of a head case, and Cowboys might not want that. So name a player who you want the Cowboys to sign. Let me know in the comments of today's show. I doubt the Cowboys pursue a safety, but I would have interest because there's a lot of good players out there, led by Justin Simmons. He's going to get you multiple interceptions each and every single season. Now, probably the biggest thing that the Cowboys have to be aware of and everything else is that Justin Simmons' agent is Todd France. And they got it done with Dak after a long, drawn-out process, but that actually could be a slight issue for the Cowboys. Plus, he probably wants a guaranteed starting spot, and Dallas might still like Donovan Wilson and Amari Cooper. I mentioned Julian Blackmon because he was a Matt Eberflus player in Indianapolis. I am a little bit surprised he is unsigned. I've seen this happen on a pretty consistent basis over the years. These, starting caliber safeties, but, the NFL doesn't love them. I think, Trey Boston for all those years. They're always, available in April into May, and I don't really understand why. I am frankly outright surprised that Julian Blackmon is still out there. Someone should pick him up to start. Veteran Quandre Diggs is available as well. He made a bunch of plays this past year for Tennessee, then did get hurt down the stretch late in the season, so injury might also be a factor in this conversation. But, you get to head home. I also wouldn't rule out him just going back to Tennessee. He has cousins with Cam Ward. Other free agent safeties, again, it's kind of a decent list. Marcus Williams, Rayshon Jenkins, Von Bell, Jordan Whitehead. I'll mention Kevon Wallace too, just because there is some nickel flexibility there. Defensive tackle John Jenkins is next up here. It's not a great free agent defensive tackle class, but I still would have interest in adding another big boy on the interior to help push your young guys, Mozzie Smith and Jay Toia. I just think you need more there. It's a thin group up front. Osa, Mozzie, Solomon Thomas, Jay Toia, Justin Rogers, Denzel Daxon, and Akeem Basote are practice squad guys to me. You kind of go 4.5 deep, if that, right now on the defensive line. I think nose guard is also just very much unproven, unreliable right now. Foley Fatukasi has been a nose guard in the past. The production has been up and down, inconsistent. There was that at a point with the Jets, it's okay, this guy's really good. 5 TFLs for a nose guard is awesome. A bit inconsistent last year for Houston is worth mentioning. Taven Bryan, who has kind of bounced around the NFL after being an late first-round pick, was with Jacksonville for years, played for Indianapolis. This fits the 3-tech. Former first-round pick archetype the Cowboys have shown interest in this offseason. What is the biggest Cowboys need left? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. I'll go rapid fire on 3 more names. Jedrick Wills, who I think could maybe be a swing tackle if you don't like what you see from Ajani Cornelius or Awesome Richards during the camp time frame. A lot of us had mentioned Will Hernandez, given his ties to the new OC Clayton Adams. I think the drafting of Tyler Booker means they're not going to add a 17th guard to the roster, And then Von Miller's a free agent too, and he's from DeSoto. He had expressed interest in the past, but he also drafted Donovan Ezeraku. You're just going to let him and Dante Fowler and Marshawn Neal and Sam Williams get their chances instead.